friends, welcome back. Today it is that time of the month again. Not that time of the month, but the time of the month when we review the books that we have read over the past month. And today I'm going to talk about the books that I finished in July. Okay, so this month I have finished 7 books and I'm currently working on my 8th book and I'm almost done with it. So I am very confident that I will actually finish it by the end of the year. So hopefully by the end of the year, but by the end of the month. So yeah, I'm gonna count that one in the list, but that will be at the end. So let's get right to it, shall we? So the first book I finished was The Last Flight by Julie Clark. And I made a whole 3-minute thriller review on this one. So feel free to check that out if you want more information on my thoughts on this one, but here it is. It was okay. I didn't really like it that much. I feel like it was kind of forgettable, and it's only been less than a month and I'm already like, I don't know, it's already just like lost from my mind, you know what I mean? But it's essentially about these 2 women who find each other in an airport, decide that they both hate their lives, and they switch places, they switch identities, switch tickets, and then one of the plane crashes, and it's dramatic, but I don't know. It wasn't really the book for me, but check out that video for more details. Next up, I read the book No Exit, and this was kind of the complete opposite for me from The Last Flight. This book I started out hating and I ended up thinking it was okay. This book I started out loving and then I kind of ended up with it being okay. So maybe it's not completely opposite, but basically this book is about this college student who is driving through a snowstorm, going to visit her sick mother. She ends up stopping at this rest stop because there is so much snow. She ends up just not being able to go any further because it is just so, snowy. So basically she's driving through the snowstorm, gets caught up at the rest stop. She's at this rest stop and then she looks in the window, being a little like nosy busybody, looks into the window of one of the cars and spots something very suspicious, and then basically from there she kind of goes on this search to figure out whose car it is that has this blank in it. And yeah, it started out really strong. It kind of fell off for me because a lot of the mystery kind of disappeared pretty early on in this book. I wasn't a huge fan of that, so I ended up giving it 3 stars. Next, I read The Great Influenza, which is a super fascinating book about the 1918 flu. This book I read for a video that I hopefully will have posted by now, but if not, it will be up very soon, of reading Bill Gates's book recommendations. And this was one of his book recommendations, and I thought it was really good. I gave it 4 stars because it's a little dull. I mean, it is a history book. I thought it could have been shortened a little bit, but that being said, it has a ton of great information and is really fascinating. So yeah, that was the next book that I finished. Okay, so the next book after that I read was Severance by Ling Ma. This book, I honestly had literally absolutely no idea what it was. I just thought that the cover looked pretty and I wanted to make an Instagram picture of it. This book really surprised me. I had no idea what it was. It kind of ended up being this dystopian pandemic book, which that is not what I was expecting. I thought it was going to be like a book about like office culture or something, but it's kind of like this dystopian, dark world where there's this horrible pandemic that basically kills off like all of New York basically, and this girl is like caught in the middle of it, and it talks about like, it has all this crazy stuff about the pandemics and all this stuff, but then it also kind of talks about like consumerism and manufacturing. I don't know, just read it. I would recommend it. I gave it 4 stars. The only reason I didn't give it 5 stars was I felt like there were too many characters that weren't really important, and I felt like they kind of distracted from the main message of the book. But I don't know, not a huge deal at the end of the day. So yeah, I gave it 4 stars, or actually 3.75 stars. So the next book I read is So You Want to Talk About Race. This book I gave 5 stars. There is really nothing not to like about it. It has, I think, a really good balance between talking about race issues more in a broad sense, but also talking about the author's personal experience, talking about basically how she has had to talk with talk to people in her life about race. It's also a bit of a shorter book, so it's very easily accessible. If you like, you can read it in an afternoon, so there's really no reason not to check out that book, I would say. So yeah, highly recommend. The next book was The Shadows, and I just published a 3-minute thriller review on this one, so definitely check it out if you want to know more thoughts about it. But it was okay. It was okay. I gave it 3 stars. It was a bit forgettable. Basically, it's a story of these like group of young boys in school that get up to no good. Okay, they are bad little boys and they do some bad stuff, and basically one of the boys grows up and then goes back to his hometown where all this stuff went down, and it's creepy. It has like a horror creepy vibe. It felt a little too scattered to me. I didn't really feel like I connected with the characters, and because of that, I didn't feel that invested in the book, and so I don't know. It was okay. The next book was Good Economics, Bad Economics. Wait, the title is called Good Economics for Hard Times, but then the book cover says Good Economics, Bad Economics. So I don't know, maybe this book has like multiple names, like maybe there's like a international name or something, but if you want to know more details, check out my Bill Gates video because I have a lot more details there of my thoughts. Okay, and then finally I read How to Survive a Pandemic. This one is the one I'm almost done with. Now, Dr. Michael Greger, I am a really big fan of his other books. I've read How Not to Die, also the How Not to Die cookbook I think is really good. And normally I think I actually really like his writing style. I didn't actually love this book, and maybe my thoughts will change in the next like 25% or 20% that I have left, but you can tell this book is rushed. Okay, obviously coronavirus really just started kicking up, becoming mainstream like January, February timeframe, so there's no way that he really in earnest started writing this book until like 6 months ago, and then obviously there's like the publishing time, editing time, so like he probably wrote this book in like 2 or 3 months, which props to him, but it just didn't, I don't think it was as well done as it would have been if it had been really thought out a bit more. First of all, I think the name is like kind of a misnomer. It says How to Survive a Pandemic. It's really not at all about how to survive a pandemic. It's about how to prevent pandemics from a societal view. It talks a lot about factory farming, and it was really interesting and honestly disgusting to learn more about that. But it's not about how to actually survive a pandemic. It's more about how to prevent a pandemic. Another problem I had about this book is the pacing I thought was really weird. The amount of time he talks about different things is like, it just doesn't feel quite right. Like he will talk like he's spent, I don't even know, a very, very large chunk of the book talking about like chicken farming and chickens and birds. And okay, I get that stuff is absolutely important and but it felt like too much of the book is devoted to that one topic, and it kind of missed the opportunity to be more of a broad, just have more like breadth and talk about different things and be more well balanced. So I have a very strong suspicion that I'm going to end up giving this book 3 stars, but we shall see. And until next time, bye.